Have you ever had an idea or wanted to do something and it just kept getting put on the back burner?
Yeah.
You just never ended up getting around to doing it?
For multiple reasons, but yeah, I've definitely had that.
I feel like that is longer than our to-do list. The list of those things is longer than any of the things we have done or ever will do.
But you know what things feel the best to cross off the to-do list? Those ones.
Yeah, the ones that have been sitting there for a while.
And then I feel like half the time when you actually do them, you're like, wow, that was way easier than I thought. Why did I keep that on the to-do list for so long? That was not that miserable. Ooh, I have an exact example, but I won't say it.
Well, we can talk about it later.
Yeah. Roll the intro.
Welcome to the Let's Quit podcast.
Quitting is not always a bad thing.
If you have the right mindset, quitting can be the most powerful tool you have on your journey to success. It's certainly been helpful for us.
Whether it's flying through hurricanes, building our businesses, or just trying to get to bed on time, we're always trying to level up and improve our lives.
This is the show where we share the lessons, experiences, and friends that have helped us live this incredible life. So let's quit the bad and grow the good together.
Okay, so welcome back, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this week's podcast. Whether this is your very first one you've ever listened to, or if this is...
Number 38.
Yeah, number 38. Almost to 40. Thank you so much. We're still a listener-supported podcast. If you do want to support us, you can go to patreon.com/jennieanddavis and pick the tier that works best for you. But otherwise, we always appreciate people sharing it on Instagram or to their friends, or just, text people the name, whatever it may be. We really appreciate you sharing the show.
I know we say this every time, but guys, it would be a real encouragement to us if you could share the show with somebody else.
Yes.
Podcasts are one of those things where the people who listen to them really like them, and it's kind of a weird thing to share it with somebody else in case they don't like it or it doesn't hit right. You know what I'm saying?
Right, because podcasts can be kind of a personal thing. You listen to them for a very specific reason, and sometimes you don't want to I don't know. It's yep, I listen to self-help podcasts in my spare time. Here, you should listen to the one I listen to because I have problems.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we would just really appreciate if you'd share the show with a friend. We know you've been thinking about one.
Yes.
So whoever that person is in your head right now, please just send them a link to one of the episodes and be like, yo, these two idiots, ha ha ha, aren't they stupid?
Yeah. See,
something like that. That'd be great. And we'd appreciate you.
Yes, very much.
Even more. So with that being said, weekly update. What have we been up to, Jenny?
We've been building some custom console tables.
Yes.
So one's going to be a TV stand and one's going to be a record player display holder stand.
Yep.
It's basically like a big console, and on top of it he's going to have his record player and a bunch of records and that kind of stuff. But yeah, we talked a little bit about him in our YouTube videos this week. We actually put out 2 YouTube videos.
That's another thing. We put out 2 videos this week. We told you we were going to do it last week, but
we actually did it.
Yeah, we just had the footage. We decided that, a second YouTube video. Well, okay, so let me rant about this for a second. I was all expecting, YouTube numbers to double. I thought we're posting twice as many videos. What? It's just not happening.
That's not how YouTube works.
2 really good videos. They got really good titles, thumbnails, watch ratio, and all the analytics things that YouTube cares about. But it just seems as though the YouTube man in the basement, like Jimmy DeResta likes to talk about, is just not letting people see the videos, which
I think some of it is a second video. I don't quite trust you. This is different. What are you doing? Let's feed this to people slowly and see what happens.
Or even they're just are you serious about posting twice a week? Because we rewarded you before for doing that.
And then you stopped.
And then you stopped. So we're going to need to see a few more examples from you, mister, before we'll start giving you extra views. But I don't know. It was easy to get 2.
Oh, it was
2 videos.
And we're all about patience. We get that we're not going to see whether or not this helps us probably for another month or 2. But
it's just new floor is the expectation as we do 2 videos a week. If it doesn't happen, well, okay, at least we got 1. So
right.
It seemed to go really well. People liked it. I don't think people really noticed. I don't know. I don't notice when people put out multiple videos a week.
Okay, so when people put out multiple videos a week on the channels I watch, I'm like, wait, am I that behind? Did the week really go that fast? Is this and then I just don't think much of it. I just hit play and watch anyways.
Yeah, well, I think that the people that post less frequently, so people like Mark Rober or channels like that where they post maybe once a month, or Tyler Bell, people like that, there's a great anticipation that comes with every single episode. And I don't know, I've thought about this for a while. We've thought about going down to once a month, but I just don't think we have the clickbaity type of content.
Well, right, because then you're putting a lot of pressure on that one video to perform as your once a month video.
Right. And then we talked about our values. The whole point of our YouTube channel is just to document what's going on. It's not really meant to make money or get the most views, although those are things that we do focus on. It's really just to document our journey and then have a large archive of footage that we can use in the future and talk back to our old selves and talk forward to our new selves.
Oh my gosh, if we didn't make a video for an entire month, we would have so much footage. I don't even know what we'd make that video about.
That's the whole idea.
So much would have happened.
That's the whole idea, is that you only put the good stuff or the best stuff that happens in that YouTube video, and then everybody sees the highlights. And then you push your podcast, you push your second channel, you push your Instagram for more of the behind the scenes content.
Yeah.
It's just another strategy. I mean, it all comes out in the wash, but I think posting more frequently is more along the lines of what we would prefer to do. So as long as we can continue to create engaging content that tells a story and shows our personalities, I think enough people will like us that it'll make it worth it. So
maybe.
Maybe. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at with that. We have been busy this week.
Yeah.
We sort of put ourselves on a tough deadline for these console tables. Not that like it's tough. Okay, so I'm complaining, but I'm not complaining. Like, we have plenty of time to make these console tables. It's just that we have been, I don't want to say coasting, but like we have not worked like our hair is on fire in a very long time. We've been very busy. We've been very active. But as far as like long days of manual labor, that's just not a thing that we do very often.
Yeah, we've only had a
anymore.
few of those sprinkled in here and there.
Right. And like my legs were tired. After the first day of building and like getting all the lumber cut down, like I woke up the next morning, my calves and stuff were tired. And I'm like, what's going on? I run a couple times a week. We rock climb, but like, why are my feet sore? I'm like, oh, because I was standing still at the table saw for 4 hours.
On that cement too.
Right. So anyway, just told me I needed to start wearing my running shoes more when I would work and not my Crocs.
Oh my gosh, you shouldn't wear your Crocs anyways.
They're foamy and spongy. It's like a steel-toed shoe.
I'm going to burn them.
Yeah, so speaking of that, we'd been doing more climbing.
Yeah.
Just slowly progressing. I don't know. I left when I came back from Miami, my calluses were all gone, and I was worried. I was so worried that I was just not going to be able to get back to where I was. But
when I came back from Eric's wedding, I was the same way. I just feel like my grip strength was just like half of what it used to be. And this is going to sound so weird, but like the muscles in each individual finger to just like hang on to certain holds. Like, I don't know. We built like really strong muscles for climbing in our fingers, and we didn't really notice it until we came back.
What I noticed is I can see several dips in my forearm. I'm pointing to my forearm for those 3 people watching on YouTube. You can see the split between a couple different muscles when you're conditioned and climbing and stuff. And I lost that definition just in the couple weeks I was in Miami. And now that we're back to climbing again, I can see the little different humps and moves. I don't know. I've never had muscles before. This is new to me. So it's cool. I get it now, I guess.
But yeah, so we've been doing a lot of climbing. Just getting back into it and getting our skill levels back up.
I wasn't as terrible as I thought I would be after a 2-week break.
Not as terrible, but I definitely can feel that like...
Oh, it's definitely worse.
I can't do some of the really cool things that I used to do, or like some of the jumps you'd make, or when you swing to the next hold. I'm like, I can't hold on as well as I used to.
That sounds like a limiting belief.
Oh yes.
Not an actual lack of strength.
Yeah. Or maybe both. I don't know.
Yeah. So we've been climbing more. We're really getting into the busy season for us. Like this. Of all times of the year, this is our busiest season, which is kind of funny because everybody's busy at this time of year. Kids are going back to school, like you're getting ready for the holidays, but like it's the same with us. Like it's just time to put our nose to the grindstone because the holiday season's coming up. And for the last year, we've been operating a business that solely sells gifts, and it's gifting season, so that's coming around the corner.
A rude awakening.
We are also getting, I'll come back to this in a minute, but we're also getting ready to move the shop to a new location, which we'll talk about in a minute. But it's just a busy season. Jennie's about to leave and go fly through some hurricanes.
We almost signed up to fly through some this weekend. So
which one is it?
Hurricane Ida is in the Gulf right now, and it looks like it's headed. Right now, the forecasts have it headed right for Louisiana.
Yeah. And we thought they were going to come to Houston when the Air Force Base, they are taking the airplanes and moving them to Texas
because it looks like the hurricane is going to hit part of Mississippi.
Or it's just
also.
it's just getting close enough that they don't want to have to make that decision later. They'd rather just move the planes over and then continue to fly them
out of a different location.
Right. It's not like a full, like, the sky is falling sort of evacuation. It's just,
oh, no.
They're just staging the airplanes in a different spot. Anyway, sometimes they come to Houston, and we were going to volunteer and be like, yo, we'll fly if you guys come to Houston, even though it's not our scheduled time to fly. But
if they need people, we're like, yeah, we'll do it.
Right. I mean, that's the whole reason we exist.
Yeah, exactly.
And have part-time jobs. So that being said, we are also doing our second annual Hurricane Relief Fundraiser.
Yes, I'm wearing my shirt. For those of you watching on YouTube, this is last year's t-shirt.
We haven't gotten the new ones yet in the mail this year.
They should come in about a week.
That long? That stinks.
Oh, no. Between 5 and 7 days.
Okay, that was last week, so they should be here any day now.
Oh, yeah. This week's gone so fast. My head.
Anyway, it's our busy season, Hurricane Relief Fundraiser. You can find the t-shirt in the show notes. You can also see it in the description of our last couple of YouTube videos. There's a link that'll take you straight to the store. Buy a shirt. All the proceeds go to helping those victims of hurricane disaster relief. Yes. So some of those words may have been too many words. I don't know what I'm saying. You guys know what I mean.
All profits from the t-shirts go to aiding
helping people.
Hurricane
We help
relief.
people. You buy a fancy blue shirt.
Yes.
That's
yeah.
how it
So
works.
this year's looks just like my t-shirt that I'm wearing now, and the ones you see us wear sometimes in YouTube videos, except they're like a really cool blue color this year.
Yep. And every year's going to be a different color. And
yeah.
So collect all 5.
Collect the whole set.
We should sell an NFT with that. Just think about NFT projects. I'm just trying to think of like, what can we, I don't know. And if we ever put on a conference, like you have to have that. That's your ticket. Like if you want to do a meet and greet or something.
And then if they grow in value, how would we continue to like, I'm just saying, could we donate more and more, like even after they've been bought?
Yeah, you can always like continue to do upsells or like, it's just a ticket stub. Is the way that everybody's looking at NFTs right now, and as far as that. So like as long as they've got the ticket stub that gives them access to do more other things with us or whatever. Anyway, speaking of ideas, well, no, that's the title topic. That would have been the perfect segue for the title topic because that's an idea that we don't have a place to put yet.
Well, we've also been hesitating on whatever our next point was, too, for kind of a while.
Nice
so
save. All right.
There's your transition.
What we teased you with earlier, we are getting ready to move into a commercial space. We don't have a place yet.
Because we've been hesitating.
Well, okay. I think we've been strategically timing this out.
It has been strategic. It's not all been
We've been saving up
hesitating.
money. We've been making sure the cash flow is there.
Yeah.
We've been looking at numbers. It's kind of funny. Our CPA actually told us we were being a little too conservative. And when your CPA, Clay, I hope you're listening. When your CPA tells you you're being too conservative, you know you're hesitating. So I'm really excited.
Can we say that we've been blessed by our CPA now and that we can like go do it?
That's what he told us.
Okay.
So it's all his fault if it goes wrong.
Pretty sure they have paperwork specifically written up that says the opposite.
I don't know.
And I know he's sitting in his car saying, yes, we do.
Oh, man. So anyway, we are looking at various places all over the Houston area. Please don't, I understand that you might have good intentions. We're not interested in any help. We've got people for that. Thank you for your suggestions, but we're very particular about the locations we're looking at. We're very particular about what features they have. So, we're just really excited. We're going to go tour some places next week, and then hopefully when Jennie comes back from her hurricane block, we will sign the paperwork and start moving in. So
Yeah.
How are you feeling about that?
I'm excited. Okay, I'm excited because it is a big move, but also I'm like, oh my gosh, finally, because just building these consoles this week, we've been bumping into things constantly. We spent so much time moving things around. Thank goodness we thought ahead, so like everything's on wheels, so it's easy to move, but we spent so much time moving things.
Half of our time is spent shuffling things around, moving things from one side of the shop to the other, unplugging, replugging things.
Multiple sheets of plywood. We've moved them back and forth across the garage at least 2 or 3 times.
Yep. And it's really nice to have wheels and carts and everything, but oh my gosh, all we need is just a little bit more elbow room, and we wouldn't have to do any of the shuffling. So, and I'm not just saying that because I'm not creative with the space or anything. We've got large industrial size tools. We got a 20-inch planer that weighs 1,000 pounds.
We buy them for the commercial space.
Right. Right. So anyway, it's just getting a little stuffy in there.
Yeah.
We're still making it work. But
yeah, absolutely.
we just, once your brain starts chewing on an idea of like how nice something will be, if like, when we get the new house or when we get the new commercial space or when I get the new car or the new boat or the new airplane or whatever it is, like your brain just starts finding more and more reasons to go ahead with it. So in contrast to today's title topic. But yeah, we're just excited. It's been a huge thing for us. I don't know that this has been the main goal for a long time. For both business, both woodworking and the media business, getting a commercial space has been our like North Star for a very long time. I don't know what we're going to replace it with.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have to replace it with something.
But that's the goal we've been working towards for a very long time. That's the very tangible thing. Of course, we've had other goals and like we're pursuing other things. It's not just getting a commercial space and life is over. It's just that's the next tangible step we've been chasing for a while now. And we're really excited about it. So we're about 6 months ahead of when we thought we would do it. So kudos to us and being blessed and taking advantage of resources and doing all the things the right way. I don't know. It hasn't happened yet. I'm talking like I'm about to cut the ribbon, but it ain't even happened yet. So I don't know. I don't want to get ahead of myself like always.
Slow down, would you?
Well, let's slow down with a transition to the title topic.
Perfect.
All right, Jenny, hit him with a quote.
All right. So this week's quote, gosh, I can't even see the whole thing because it's cut off. Anyways, it's by Patrick Swayze, right?
I don't know.
Found it. Well, you didn't write it up.
All right,
there?
read it.
Okay. The quote is, "Fear causes hesitation, and hesitation will cause your worst fears to come true." So one causes the other. Fear causes hesitation, and hesitation will cause your worst fears to come true.
So explain why that quote's true. When I first was like shown this concept of like your fears will become your reality because you're afraid of them. Can you talk? Do you have any examples lined up?
Like, okay, yeah. So I am not the fondest of like making sales calls. I know that I need to do them so that we make money and we get known and then we get referrals for more jobs. And I know all good things come from just opening your mouth and talking to people. But like for some reason I'm just scared to talk to people, I guess. And so then my fear turns into like a reality of just not making sales, because I'm also scared of not making sales, but I also don't like talking to people. So it's like, I'm going to fall into the reality of not having any money and people buying things from me if I just sit here and hesitate and don't make any calls because I'm scared of it.
Yeah. Another thing I see this happening with is like drama. So it's like if you think somebody's mad at you, like I don't know, have you guys dealt with this? Like you think somebody's mad at you, and so you're careful around them. You kind of, you're on eggshells around them, and you're trying to be sensitive and you're trying to be extra nice. And then that person's like, why are they being extra nice to me? Are they mad at me? Did something happen?
And then all of a sudden it is weird.
And then you get this weird drama angst between the two of you, and there was nothing that happened in the first place.
Right.
You know, your fears of them being mad at you create the awkward social situation that you were trying to figure out or avoid in the first place. So that's another example of like your fears.
Or people like fearing that people won't like you. You're thinking
too.
so long like, oh, I'm so scared. Like if I go talk to them and try to make friends with them, they might not like me. They might not like the type of person I am. Well, by going and not talking to them, like
now you're standing in the corner and you're not meeting anybody, and now that's weird. Now they think you're weird.
They don't even have the ability to like you because you haven't even talked to them yet. So yeah, you're right. They don't like you because you won't go talk to them.
Exactly. So I mean, this also works with things too. It's like you're so scared that an update is going to crash your phone. And so like you don't ever update your computer or don't ever update your phone. And then you keep doing that. And then long term.
And it crashes anyways.
Your phone or your computer crashes because you never freaking updated it.
Yeah.
And it's like what you were scared of is going to happen whether you update it or you don't update it. You haven't saved yourself from anything.
Yeah.
So it's just funny how our fears can create reality for us.
Yeah.
It's just weird because we're not like our fears are not usually mapping to reality. It's much more. I was listening to a Freakonomics podcast earlier this week, and they were talking about how like we're biased towards negative things and fears because if we're scared of something and it's not that scary, there's no detriment.
Yeah.
But if we're not scared of something that should be scary, Like it could have life or death consequences. So we're biased towards negativity. We're biased towards fear because a false positive of fear results in nothing happening.
Right.
Or anxiety and depression and all the rest. But
which is crazy because
we ain't worried about that. We're just trying to stay alive.
But then, like, can you really, how long are you going to stay alive under those conditions full of depression and fear and anxiety, you know? Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, we're just outliving what our brains are wired to do.
It's catch-22.
Yeah. So anyway, it's just, I guess that's more than we've ever gone into on a quote. But like, that's why that is true, is because if your fear causes you to hesitate, your fears will eventually create the reality that you're afraid of.
Yeah.
In some form or fashion. So there's a really cool quote that we found. Sums that up pretty nicely.
Yeah. In summary, don't hesitate because you're literally just going to make it worse.
All right. Podcast over.
Yep. Bye. Just kidding. We're not leaving yet. We have a little bit more. Not much, but a little bit.
All right. So by quit hesitating, we basically just mean don't let time get away from you. If you get an idea or you want to set a goal or something like that, sometimes you can make promises when you're excited and you shouldn't do that. But sometimes you're in a really good mental spot. You got a good idea that comes your way and you hold on to it. You're like, yeah, I'm going to do that. And then you don't write it down. You just expect your brain to remember it because of course my brain would remember what I really want to do. Right. Yeah. Well, the joke is like our brains are good at problem solving. They're very bad at holding on to information. And I know you've got a great memory. I get it.
I don't.
But even people with a really good memory compared to a computer, we're way better at problem solving. A computer is good at holding information. You know. Anyway, so I guess what we're just trying to say is take action on it. If you've got an idea or you've got a goal, take action on it, even if it's a tiny step, even if that's just writing it down and coming back to it later. Like that is still a step of pursuing that goal.
Because you trusting yourself to remember it and trusting yourself to remember like the emotional state that you were in when you thought of that idea is a very hard thing to do because you're probably not going to naturally come around to that scenario again.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I think of it kind of like TikTok trends. You know how audios will like pop up and get really popular on TikTok, but they only last for like 2 weeks and then they're not popular anymore because everybody's used it.
If you don't save it, it disappears. You never see it again.
Yes. If you don't save the audio, you might not find it again. Or you might have a really good idea to go along with the audio, but if you don't use it.
Like to make one?
Yeah, like to make a TikTok. If you don't use it, the trend's just going to pass in 2 weeks and then your idea means nothing because the trend's already over with.
Right, which kind of leads us into our first point of like, usually when we have an idea, we have every intention of pursuing it and we just expect our brain to remember. I kind of talked about this already, but asking your brain to remember an idea is a risk. It's an inherent risk. And if you've got memories, anything like Jennie and I's, like it's a huge risk.
Yes.
So like you should have an inbox. We've talked about this before ad nauseum, but you need to have an inbox for your ideas. You need to have a systematic place where your ideas can go, and then you can come back to them later. Now, another thing is if you do remember that idea later, maybe you're not in the best emotional state when you remember that idea again, and you're not excited about it. You're kind of down in the dumps about something totally unrelated, but then you decide not to pursue that goal or chase that idea down purely because you just remembered it at the wrong time.
Right.
So it's really important that when you do go back to your ideas and your goals, that you do it in a time of mental clarity and when you're in a good mood, because sometimes just remembering your goal when you're in a pessimistic mood could like keep you from doing it.
Yeah, and then I feel like that's one solution to it, and I feel like the other solution is like trusting yourself at the time you wrote down that idea. Like if you were in a really good like emotional and mental state when you wrote that idea down in your little inbox or whatever, you might be in a really bad spot the next time you go look at it, or you might be kind of sad, but you have to say to yourself, hey, I know I'm not feeling it now, but I trust my past self because when I thought of this idea, it was amazing. I might not emotionally be there now, but like...
Or when you decide, right, so like when you decide to pursue a goal and it gets really hard, you can lean on that and say, you know what, I was in a really good spot. I'm mad because it's hard right now. But, you know, the better version of me made this decision.
Yes, that's the best way. The better version of me made that decision. That's the perfect way to put it.
And I'm not being the best version of myself right now. Otherwise, I would be really excited about it. So just use all this to your advantage. Make your goals and your plans in a good spot mentally, and you'll be able to pursue a lot further when it gets rough. So also another time that you get... What? I just totally lost my train of thought. It just disappeared right over the
Just
cliff.
went right off the rails.
Just choo-choo. Just
Choo-choo. Choo-choo.
choo-choo.
Bye. Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to hop into action steps then?
No, because we still got one more point. Here it is.
Okay.
All right. Sometimes like you can't see when you have forgotten something or you're hesitating on something.
Yeah.
And something that happened to me this week was I was talking to a friend who asked me, they're like, hey man, I just got a Snapchat from a friend who he had his first solo. So when you learn how to fly a general like aviation aircraft, like your instructor gets to a certain point where he's like, all right, or she's like, you're ready. And they get out of the airplane and you're in there by yourself. And they say, all right, go take it around and come back. And it's the first time you fly by yourself, unsupervised. And a good instructor will normally do it when you're ready, but you don't know that you're ready. Mm-hmm. That's the perfect time to do it. So, then they'll just jump out of the airplane and you can go fly around. Well, that's insane. You're just feeling all sorts of emotions and you're excited and you're scared and you're nervous and you're happy. And it's just, I don't know. That was my experience. I'm sure. Anyway, my buddy was sending me Snapchats of that experience for him and it was really exciting. And then he was like, hey, did you ever start ground school? And I was like, oh no, I didn't. Because last time we had talked, I had said that we're going to get back into flying.
Yeah.
And so the whole reason I tell that story is because sometimes friends can prompt you and remind you of some of the things that you've forgotten about.
Because we've been meaning to start our ground school for months now. We keep saying like, oh yeah,
but we never got around to
ground
it.
School.
We never got around to it. We even said you were going to have your license this summer, and
I
we
know,
just
and
never
here
got
I am.
around
I
to
don't.
it. So
No.
we're trying. I guess that's the lesson here is that sometimes you can use your friends to your advantage. Go talk to, I'm stepping on the action steps here, but like you can go talk to an old friend and see what they remember about last time you guys talked together. And if you were in a good emotional spot, if you were in a better spot then than you are now, maybe you can use that to remember what some of the things you wanted to do were, and you can maybe sort of pull yourself through the hard time or the slump that you've got right now. So, that's basically it. Let's jump into some action steps.
Yeah.
So, number 1, develop a system for processing ideas and information. We've talked about this a lot on the podcast. I don't remember. I don't have episode numbers for you. I'm sorry. Basically, go get the book by David Allen, Getting Things Done.
Yeah.
It's basically his system. You need to have an inbox. I'll give you a quick synopsis because I can't give you an episode to go listen to. You need to have an inbox to dump all your ideas in. For us, it is Google Keep. You can just go to keep.google.com where there's an app that we have on our phones. It's just called Google Keep. And it's just a bunch of sticky notes. And anytime we get an idea, we go to the sticky note of the category of that thing. So like if it's flying related, if it's Air Force related, if it's woodworking related, if it's media business or YouTube related, everything's got its own little sticky note, and you just brain dump everything you're thinking and feeling into that sticky note. And then at the end of the week, the second part is that you go back through it when you're in a good mood, when you're not hungry, when you're not angry or pissy, you're in a good spot mentally. You go through all of your lists and you say, that was kind of a silly idea. Let me throw it out. Or, no, I really do want to pursue this. This is a good idea. And then you flesh out some action steps that you can take to pursue that idea. And then finally, the next step is you put actionable tasks on your schedule and you stay disciplined to following that. So that's very quickly the getting things done method, quick and dirty. But that's basically the action step for this week is develop some sort of system like that for yourself. It can be as complex or as simple as you want to make it. Just make sure you have an idea, a place for your ideas to go, a time to come back and sort through them level-headedly. And then thirdly, get a schedule together that you can commit to make progress on. So I'm tired of talking, Jenny.
Second action step. Find a friend who you haven't talked to in a while and see what they remember about your last time you met, or like the last, I don't
Life
know,
events.
I guess, the life event, or I don't know, like the last time you guys were close or like did a lot of things together. See what they remember about that. And did they mention or ask you about anything that you never followed up on? If they're like, oh, man, I remember you talking about flying all the time. Like, did you ever do that? Like, oh, man, no.
Yeah, and it's okay. You're going to feel weird and uncomfortable, but you can straight up ask and be like, hey, man, like, do you remember what we talked about last time? And see what stuck with them And that can sometimes trigger some ideas, some old ideas or some old goals that you had for yourself. It's also a really good way to pat yourself on the back. If you've accomplished some of those things, you can say, look, and then you can like put that in your mental cookie jar, David Goggins.
Yeah.
You can like put that win in your mental cookie jar and be like, you know what? I said I was going to do something. I took action and I did it. And now I'm meeting with this friend again and I get to tell them all about my stuff and I get to ask them all about their stuff. And hopefully they've got the same experience as well. So we've hit our allotted 30 minutes. Is there anything else we need to say to the audience?
I don't
To the
think
audience?
so.
My allergies have been going crazy. I think I'm allergic to walnut dust.
Ooh.
I'm allergic to everything, by the way.
Pretty much,
But I
yeah.
think walnut or something specifically.
Yeah, you have been a bit stuffy today. That's true.
My nose has been stopped up too.
Oh, see, that's why we don't make walnut cutting boards.
Oh, well, I think that's it for today. Go buy a hurricane shirt.
Yeah, check that out.
Help other people and get a snazzy shirt while you're at it.
And quit hesitating.
And quit hesitating.
Super convicting topic. I feel like I don't know. I feel like we hesitate a lot. Like we just need to start taking action on more stuff. We're both kind of default like hesitators.
I would totally agree with that.
So that was a good one.
I feel like we hesitate on everything. Even if there's things that we say we're not hesitating on, we're probably hesitating more than the average person would.
Yes.
Because we feel obligated to do research and learn everything about everything
before we make the decision.
Before we make the first step.
Yeah.
Which is good sometimes, but it's also crippling when you're trying to stack success.
Yes.
You just need to get those quick wins and early victories and you can start stacking those up and you'll learn over time. So we've talked about that before on the podcast.
Yeah.
We got nothing new.
We're really just going over like how we live our lives.
I love Gary Vee's answer to that. Like when he's like, Gary Vee, you always say the same thing. He's like, what do you want? A different answer? You want me to contradict myself? Like, I'm not trying to insult you, but like sometimes things really are that simple. They're hard to do, but the answer is simple.
Yeah.
So anyway.
On that note, we'll talk to you guys next time.